Imagine a quiet night in England, a powerful train speeding through the darkness, carrying millions in cash, completely unaware that within minutes it would become the target of one of the most daring heists in history. No guns fired, no chaos, just precision, planning, and boldness. This is the story of the Great Train Robbery of 1963, a crime so legendary it shocked the world. In the early 1960s, Britain relied heavily on railways to transport money. Every night, a special Royal Mail train traveled from Glasgow to London, carrying huge amounts of cash collected from banks across the country. This train, known as the Up Special, was a high-value target filled with millions of pounds. On August 8, 1963, that train carried around 2.6 million pounds, an enormous sum for the time, worth tens of millions today. Yet, despite its value, security was surprisingly weak. There were no armed guards, no advanced systems, only routine, trust, and timing. But someone had been watching. Behind the robbery was a mastermind named Bruce Reynolds. He wasn't just a criminal, he was a strategist. Along with his gang, Reynolds spent months studying the train's route, schedule, and vulnerabilities. Their goal wasn't violence, it was perfection. The plan was simple yet brilliant. Stop the train in a remote area, separate the valuable carriage, unload the cash, and disappear before authorities could respond. To make this happen, they needed control over the railway signals. On the night of the robbery, the gang tampered with the signal lights, turning them red. As expected, the train driver saw the signal and brought the train to a halt in the darkness. Moments later, masked men emerged from the shadows. They quickly took control of the situation, overpowering the driver without firing a single shot. One of the gang members even managed to move the train forward to a Zaranie Wybrane Mesta, an ideal location where the robbery could be carried out smoothly. Inside the targeted carriage were stacks of mail bags filled with cash. Working with speed and coordination, the gang formed a human chain, passing the bags one by one into waiting vehicles. The operation was fast, efficient, and almost flawless. Within just 15 to 20 minutes, it was over. The gang vanished into the night, leaving behind a stunned railway crew and a crime scene that would soon make headlines across the world. Their escape led them to a remote hideout known as Leatherslade Farm. There, they divided the money and planned their next moves. At first, everything seemed perfect. But then came a critical mistake. Instead of leaving immediately and destroying all traces, they stayed too long. Small details, fingerprints, food items, and personal belongings were left behind. When the police eventually discovered the hideout, it became a turning point in the investigation. This was no ordinary robbery. It quickly became one of the largest criminal investigations in British history. Scotland Yard mobilized its best officers, determined to track down those responsible. The evidence found at the farmhouse proved crucial. Fingerprints were matched, suspects were identified. One by one, members of the gang were arrested. Some were caught quickly, while others attempted to flee the country. But the net was tightening. When the captured robbers faced trial, the sentences shocked the nation. Many received up to 30 years in prison, an unusually harsh punishment for a robbery. The message was clear: such crimes would not be tolerated. Yet, even this was not the end of the story. One member of the gang, Ronnie Biggs, would go on to become one of the most famous fugitives in history. In 1965, he escaped from prison in a dramatic breakout. What followed was decades of life on the run. Biggs traveled across countries, eventually settling in Brazil, where he managed to avoid extradition for many years. He gave interviews, shared his story, and became something of a public figure. But freedom came at a cost. He could never truly return home without facing the law. Meanwhile, a large portion of the stolen money was never recovered. Millions simply disappeared. Whether hidden, spent, or lost forever, its fate remains one of the enduring mysteries of the case.
The Great Train Robbery of 1963 was more than just a crime. It was a turning point, a story of intelligence, ambition, and human error. It showed how even the most carefully crafted plan can unravel. And decades later, people still wonder, was it genius or just luck? One thing is certain. This robbery earned its place as one of the most legendary heists in history. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because the world is full of untold stories, and this is just the beginning.